Happy 4th of July. And now we are looking at 1 John 3:10 in Greek. Go ahead and see if you can translate that. And here's my translation. In this visible is the children of God and the children of the devil. Everyone who does not practice righteousness is not from God, and the one who does not love his brother. Again, no ambiguity here. Follows right on 1 John 3:9. 1 John 3:9, what did it say? The one who is born of God is not able to continue to sin because God's seed remains in him. There's a very simple test here. People who do not act righteously are not born of God, period. That's the theology of 1 John. Now, it's not talking about one time. It's not talking about I'm not suggesting a one sin you're out kind of deal. That's not what I'm suggesting. This is a general statement. It's a proverb, as it were. It's a general truth that people who are born of God act righteously. They have the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness. This is not legalism. This is a heart, a virtue of the heart. They are loving people. They are joyful people. They simply are the descriptors of the true people of God. Now, not everybody who calls themselves a child of God is a child of God. Certainly not everybody who at some point in their life has spoken a sinner's prayer is a child of God. John is very clear. You can see, now, just because somebody does good things doesn't mean they're a child of God. But if they're a child of God, they're going to do good things. In this is visible. It's visible. This is not invisible. In this is visible who the children of God and who the children of the devil are. Those who are children of God practice righteousness, and they love their brother. Now, some would say, well, this is just talking about other Christians. Well, I think we can go to the Gospels and move beyond that kind of that's kind of what the guy came to Jesus in Luke 10, basically saying, but who's my neighbor? And Jesus basically says, the person you don't want to be your neighbor, the Samaritan whose theology is wrong, that evil Samaritan, he may or may not be going to heaven, but the Samaritan is your neighbor. And so that's kind of a attempt to get out of the heart of the law by saying, but my brother, who is my brother? Oh, it's my Christian. Basically, those who are born of God, those who are children of God, practice righteousness. That's how you know. I mean, that's certainly one way to know. And those who love their neighbor, they are possibly children of God. But a person who basically is a serial killer, not born of God. Doesn't matter whether they said a sinner's prayer in Sunday school. If they're a serial killer, they're not born of God. And the people who don't love their brother are not born of God. And again, I'm not talking about one time. I'm not talking about having a bad day. I may not even be talking about having a bad year. I'm just saying that this is a general truth. If God's seed is in you, then you are going to love your neighbor. You're going to love your brother, and you are going to practice righteousness, which includes getting down to the very nitty-gritty of helping those who are in need, as we saw in 1 John chapter 2. If you don't withhold, if you have, the love of material possessions. Well, okay, this is about Greek, but with some commentary. Let's move on then to the translation in slow motion. In this, that is this manifestation of the seed within us, is visible. Well, actually, it's actually looking forward to the rest of the sentence. In this, that this is what's about to be said. In this is visible the children of God and the children of the devil. By the way, a neuter plural subject can take its verb in the singular. This is a neuter plural alpha, bingo, and it has its verb. It has its verb in the singular. Estin is singular, so this is kind of like some. There's some people who speak English this way. They was really nice. Well, really, that's a mismatched subject and verb. They is plural, was is singular, so it should be they were. Some people do this in English as well. It was allowed in Greek. That is, this is not hic Greek. This is allowed. A neuter plural subject, the children. So it literally says the children is visible, but that would be a bad translation. We should translate it, the children are visible, even though it's woodenly, the children is visible here. So in this is visible the children of God and the children of the devil. Everyone who does righteousness, or everyone who does not do righteousness, is not from God. Okay, so those who don't live righteously simply are not from God. And the not used here is the not used with non-indicative. So oo is the not used with indicatives in the New Testament. May is the not used with everything else, pretty much. And so this is the not doing righteousness one. Now, we've seen this over and over again. You should be able to translate something like this by now. The one who does, or in this case, the one who does not do. And when you put a pos on the front, everyone who does not do righteousness has not been born of God, is not born of God. Okay, but, and the not loving one, his brother, and the one who does not love the brother of him. These people are not children of God. Okay, grammar. So not a lot to say about here. I've already told you that a neuter plural subject can take its verb in the singular in Greek. It's an odd rule. This is what kind of a pronoun. It is a demonstrative pronoun. Okay. Now, what is this construction? This is a participle. It's a nominative masculine singular present active participle from poieo, and the has crashed into the omega. Omegas went over everything, so we get a long omega, and we have this police line to say, there's been a crash here, step back. Okay, it's a poieo, it's a contract verb or a crash verb, if you would. There are three uses of a participle, mostly. One is adverbially, doing righteousness, he gave to the poor. That's an adverbial use. Then there's the periphrastic, he was doing righteousness. Neither of those work here because the participle has the article on it. The article doesn't have to be right by the word it goes with. Greek is flexible. This is the not doing person, the man not doing, or the person not doing. So if the participle has the article, you use who or that. That's Ken's rule. And if the participle has the article, it is an adjectival participle. And the noun it goes with is not here. The man doing righteousness, it doesn't have man there. So we have to come up with the substance of a noun ourselves. Basically, we call that a substantive use of an adjectival participle. Okay? Seen it over and over again. Same thing here, exactly the same. Participle has the article, and so it's being used adjectivally, and there's no noun with it, so it's substantive. We have to come up with the noun, one, the one who does not love. So it's a participle, it's adjectival, it's substantive, it's a present active participle, nominative masculine singular from agapao. So another contract verb, another crash verb. The alpha is contracted into the omega of the own participle ending. Omegas went over everything. We end up with an omega, with a police line saying, circumflex accent saying, there's been a crash here. Okay, so there's our grammar for today. So let's see if we can pronounce these words. Let's go ahead and try up to devil and see how you do. Here's my reading. En tuto phanera estin. There's no accent on estin. It's a proclitic. So, enclitic. So I use this accent to kind of treat these both in terms of sound as one word. Phanera estin. Interesting. Ta tekna tu theu. Kai ta tekna tu diabolu. Devil. Diabolical. Okay? So, next, read up to the comma. Pas ho me poion de kaiosunen, ukesten ek tu theu. Okay, in this case, uk is a proclitic and estin is an enclitic. And they did a tug of war, rock, paper, scissors. Now, you take the accent. No, you take the accent. No, you take the accent. No, you take the accent. Well, estin lost. And so estin has an accent because these two words don't have an accent naturally. So one of them had to take up the cause. They were forced to, against their will. And up to the period, kai home agapon ton adolphon autu. Okay, let me try to read the whole thing at somewhat normal speed. En tuto phanera estin ta tekna tu theu, kai ta tekna tu diabolu. Pas ho me poion de kaiosune, uk estin ek tu theu, kai ho me agapon ton adelphon autu. And there we have our Greek for the day. Happy 4th of July. I'm recording this for and on the 4th of July. Have a good day.